hardly a day goes by where the Daily Wire doesn't blow my mind. We covered the other week their new goofy-ass movie, Lady Ballers, which, look, if it came out in, like, 1999 and it was done by people who are actually good at acting, yeah, there was potential there. But with the Daily Wire doing it, you just know they violate, like, the cardinal rule of art, which is show, don't tell. They are tell. Like, that's all they do is tell. They bonk you over the head with their politics with a mallet. But anyway, today we have Matt Walsh here. And, man, I almost want to give credit to him because he's loathsome, but he's very direct. And I kind of respect that. Like the other, I feel like other right-wing commentators are a lot more weaselly. Sometimes they play hide the ball or they try to, like, intellectually dress up their bad opinions. He's just like, I am the man with bad opinions. Okay, fair enough. So these are his thoughts on democracy.
Expanding voting rights in this way is obviously not what you do if you actually care about the future of our country or if you want to preserve our democracy. I mean, you could say the most effective way.
If you want to preserve our democracy, you wouldn't want to expand voting rights.
Undermine our democracy is to let too many people participate in it. So you undermine the democracy by letting too many people into it. Like democracy it's not some magical thing, okay? Democracy is not magic. It is not exempt from the basic rules of life. And one of the basic rules of life is that too many cooks in the kitchen spoil the broth, okay?
So then, look, I'm going to take back what I said earlier because he's not being direct. Then just say you don't love democracy. You don't have to do this like, I love democracy, I want to save it. And by doing that, I mean, I want to undo democracy. Like, that doesn't make sense. I love democracy so much that I want to destroy it, is effectively his argument.
Basic rules. No matter what it is, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you can reach a point where there are too many people involved in it.
That argument, in some contexts, makes sense. It does not make any sense when it comes to politics. If you want to say, like, somebody's, like we were just talking about a movie, somebody's making a movie. You want one person with one vision and then you implement it. Like, the guy who wrote George R.R. Martin, the guy who wrote Game of Thrones, like, yes, he needed to be the one who wrote the book, and then somebody takes that and uses that exact vision and does it. Because if you give, like, 17 people the ability, they'll all have different visions and it'll clash. So in some instances, sure, too many cooks in the kitchen can be a thing in some contexts. With democracy, that is not the problem. Like, the whole point of self-determination is to give everybody equal rights and equal voice, one person, one vote. Like, what you say matters, but it matters in context relative to the size of the population. That's only basic fairness. And in that scenario, that is far, far superior to some authoritarian dictator tyrant who gets to make whatever decision they want based on their own whims and their own instincts and their own life experiences, and they could disadvantage colossal swaths of the population because they happen to be wrong about something. So the argument makes no sense in the context of politics. Of course you want more voices in politics. Are there rare instances where you want to stick to constitutional rights over the democratic will of the people? Yes, but that's why we have a constitution. So a constitution that takes certain things off the table and protects rights is an absolute necessity. But outside of that, everything else should be determined democratically. Because it's the least bad way to do it of all bad ways.
Like, there's nothing in existence that is better and more effectively accomplished simply by adding more people, regardless of their skill set, regardless of their intelligence. It doesn't work that way in any aspect of life.
So this is the classic, like, well, people are dumb, and that's why this is the very, very Bill Maher'ian argument. Did you know that Americans are stupid? Okay, I'm Bill Maher, I'm so smart. I'm not one of the stupid ones. Okay. That's effectively the argument. And it's like, look, this is all, it's true to say this. You don't even have to be intelligent. First of all, I'm not just granting that, like, the people are stupid. I think you could say they're ignorant in some respects to, like, historical facts. Not everybody's an expert on everything, right? But I don't think they're quote-unquote stupid. But even if they were, you don't need to be smart to realize, hey, maybe a good way to create a society is to give everybody a lot of freedom, but also a good way is to have some social safety nets to make sure that everybody's okay, to make sure that everybody gets a fair shot. So that if life is a 100-yard dash, you don't have some people starting at the 85-yard line and other people starting at the -30-yard line. That seems wrong. You don't have to be smart. These are things that people can understand on a gut and intuitive level. There's a basic intuitive sense of fairness that people have. I want those voices in the room. And those voices are going to be way better than the elites with their own sets of interests and biases and, in our case, donors that they try to, appease. So you don't even have to be smart in order for you to help govern the country better. But effectively, he's making the most elitist argument imaginable, while ironically, of course, the Daily Wire pretends like they're populists and they're against the elites. This is as elitist an argument as humanly possible. Leave the governing to the mature, responsible, intelligent men. Oh, let me guess. What are those men to you? Matt Walsh. I'm going to guess they are old, white Republicans or people who made a lot of money, because you assume we live in a meritocracy, even though we don't, right? So it's so elitist, and it's obviously a recipe for disaster. I want more voices in the room.
Why would it work that way when it comes to deciding the future of the country? So, it's never that you need more people. It's that you need a certain kind of person. And when it comes to voting, you need intelligent, mature, law-abiding adults.
By that, he means you need people who agree with me, Matt Walsh, the guy who thinks that any sort of trans surgery should be illegal. I'm not kidding. He actually believes that. He said it on Twitter. A doctor should be banned from doing that surgery to anybody, not just minors, anybody.
Who are invested in their country's future and have skin in the game. So we need them. Adding more from outside that demographic will just make everything worse. Ayanna Pressley knows this, by the way. Like, that's the whole point. And this is what may seem like an irony, that the tyrants in America today are the ones who want more people to vote. And they want more people because they know that as you add more and more people indiscriminately, the average IQ and awareness of the crowd in aggregate drops.
This is just eugenics garbage. He's arguing more democracy is actually tyrannical. No, tyranny is more tyrannical. Having an authoritarian dictator is more tyrannical. It is literally it is definitionally the opposite. Like, we're talking about a tautology here. More democracy is by definition less tyrannical, and he flips it. He says that's not true. Look, here's the bottom line, and this is the reality of the situation. He probably knows. He's probably seen the polls. He knows that if you give people a direct vote, what'll they do? First of all, they'll raise taxes on the rich. They'll make our social safety net stronger. They'll do universal health care. They'll do a higher minimum wage. They'll give people union rights. Like, when you go issue for issue, yeah, people are definitely on the left. They support abortion rights. I mean, again, we've seen, 3 or 4 different deep red states that had direct votes on abortion rights, and abortion rights won in every single one. States people never thought it would have won in. It did. So that's probably the reality, is that Matt Walsh knows, hey, I've seen the polls. The polls are for a social democratic agenda. I'm against a social democratic agenda. Polls show, 70, 80% of the country now wants to legalize marijuana and supports gay marriage. He's against those things, right? So he knows, if we give people a direct vote, the things I disagree with would be implemented, and that's why I'm against it. But here's the thing, Matt, just say that. So the thing I said at the beginning of the segment could not have been more wrong. He's actually not direct. He's playing hide the ball. I'm sure he's seen the polls. He knows that his beliefs are unpopular. And so that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to argue for a system that would have the outcomes that he prefers. And in that system, what would you want? You'd want some sort of authoritarian dictator who has Christian nationalist impulses. That's what you'd want. He would, if he could press a button, he'd pick Ted Cruz to be our emperor. It's just weak sauce, man. I don't know. It's just such a sad, dying, stale ideology. It is totally not about helping people. It's about imposing his will, his extreme social conservatism, and, devotion to capitalism on the economic front. It's whatever. Good luck over on the Daily Wire. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.